And we're live. And I am not Robert Chernin, but if I were, I would say, is it live or is it Memorex? That's what I would say, because that's what he always says. It is so funny. Dr. Lori Fineman, so excited to have you on as my co-host this evening. Welcome.
Thrilled. Thank you. This is going to be so much fun. Thank you so much for having me. And I must say, when I heard who the guest was, I was like, oh my God, Robert is very smart not to be here tonight.
Yes.
He should not be around this much estrogen ever.
You guys, we're going to have a lot of fun. We kind of have you, Lori, to thank for having Veronica Robles on tonight. New Light,
Yep.
helping trafficking survivors recover. We're so excited to have her on. You made that connection at Israel Appreciation Day.
I did. I have this innate ability for people to just share their lives with me. And I was getting my makeup done. And Veronica is the bomb with the makeup. Obviously, she did not do me tonight. If she did, I would look way more stellar than I do. But we were talking and she told me this fascinating story and how it led to the creation of this nonprofit helping women who have been trafficked. So
Yeah.
I was like, and selfishly, I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to be on my podcast. And then Robert heard that and I shared the story with him and he was like, oh no, she's going to be on mine. And so either way, she can be on both, or I get to be with her twice because she's so interesting. So.
She really is fantastic. We had a lot of fun. We were super grateful. Her daughter is absolutely lovely and fantastic too. Y'all, this is their website. It's in the description, newlight.org. We're going to have Miss Veronica Robles on with us in a little while. But in the meantime, y'all, we wanted to just take a minute. Because for those of us who have been paying attention, and especially coming on the heels of Israel Appreciation Day, yesterday was October 7th, the 1-year anniversary of the attack on Israel by Hamas. Maybe the most recent attack, I should say, the most recent war effort from Hamas. So, you guys, really quick. I'm going to try not to get emotional on this, but, we're going to talk about it later after Veronica in the sort of WTO segment. We're going to talk about the protests and Vice President Harris. Did you see that? I almost said President Harris because we know she's probably really the one in charge. Vice President Harris, weak sauce statement. Can't believe I said weak sauce live on air, but whatever, you guys. Okay, so before we get started, I want to take a moment to read the statement put out by the director of ASIC, Robert Chernin, your host, Robert Chernin, the statement on the attacks on Israel. And so this will, Ben, can you pull it up on the screen? You got it? Okay. All right. So, excuse me. Israel is now at war on seven different fronts, fighting not only for her survival, but that of the West. As we reflect on the events of October 7th last year and Hamas's heinous, barbaric, and inane attack on Israel, several things are now clear. It is clear that Israel has the right to defend itself with or without the support of much of the Western world, who are apparently too afraid to call out the evil of Hamas and Iran for fear of violent protests, military retribution, or losing at the voting booth in their own countries. It is equally clear that the world has a double standard when it comes to Israel, where we should be vigorously and loudly supporting Israel, who is the vanguard in the battle of civilizations and fighting our battle for us. We instead find moral equivocation and the use of terms like proportionate response or the slow walking of needed weapons, and a refusal to stand up and condemn Hamas, Hezbollah, and Iran in unequivocal terms in international forums like the UN. It is just as clear that much of the policies when Barack Obama was president, the Biden-Harris administration's policy of appeasement towards Iran, through the lessening of sanctions, paying ransom for the release of U.S. hostages, and unfreezing billions of dollars in assets, bears direct responsibility for Hamas' attack on Israel and Iran's resurgence as the chief sponsor of terrorism in the world, now directly linked to a new axis of evil, which includes China and Russia. Last, it is clear that the world does not truly care that there are hostages being held now for a year. If the world really cared, the names and faces of the hostages would be on the front page of every newspaper in the Western world every day. The fact that they are not, and that the world does not know their names, and somehow blames Israel when Hamas brutally murdered 6 hostages, speaks volumes to the fear and appeasement that has consumed U.S. foreign policy and that our so-called Western allies, and that of our so-called Western allies. We may not be able to define evil, but as a civilized society, we all know it when we see it. And if we cannot clearly say that Hamas's attack a year ago yesterday, was evil, which included the burning of babies while still alive, then as a society, we have clearly lost our moral compass and are beyond redemption. And I don't know how to say that last part. Do you know how to say that, Lori?
Am Yisrael Chai.
What is that? Can you share what that means with the audience?
So the literal translation is, I don't actually know. Am Yisrael Chai is the celebration of Israel together, and we're together in life. Chai is life, Israel is, so I'm going to say we're all together with Israel, but I'm not sure that's the literal translation.
I like it. Well, in
the people of Israel live, like something along that.
All right. Well, I am in agreement with Robert Chernin.
Absolutely. And kudos to Robert, because there are so many people, even in his statement with the appeasement and the fear that people have of pushing back, standing up for, defending Israel. Look, this didn't, you guys talk about this all the time. This didn't happen in a vacuum. And, we come off a cancel culture and then you go into something like this. People are scared. People, even the Jewish people, they won't even stand up because they're too afraid. And it's shameful. So good for Robert for saying it how it is and being very firm about it and very direct and calling it out, because it needs to be. And we all need to be able to stand up, because we all know this isn't just about the Jews, and it's not just about Israel. This is about Western values. And if we don't stop it now and call it what it is, we're in a lot of trouble.
This is it. Okay. Lord Redic in the background said, the people of Israel live. So I like that. That feels like a call to action to me, as much as it is a blessing. I love it. Okay. So we'll get back to that a little bit later, you guys. But speaking of being bold, standing up, taking a stand, making sure that you're doing something about problems that you see out in the world. We've got Miss Veronica Robles with us today, and we're so excited to have her. Veronica, welcome.
Hi, how are you?
Good, girl. How are you doing today?
Good. Thank you for having me on the podcast.
Thank you for coming on. I'm sure the team told you while we were there talking about this, trafficking, human trafficking, child trafficking, all that. Robert has a special place in his heart for that. He is the guy who will fight for the underdog. He is the guy who wants to stand up to the bullies. And so you just see this fight come out of him when we start having these conversations. So, why don't you start by sharing with our viewers, with our listeners, a little bit. Oh, Veronica? Well, she'll be back with us, I'm sure, in just a second. There we go. All right. This is live television, ladies and gentlemen. Live radio. This is technical issues. No, I love it. We got you back.
She looks so pretty that the screen couldn't handle it. So
it was like,
I was like, we don't know what to do with that beauty.
Or maybe Or you guys, maybe this is the censorship bureau trying to chime in. They're like, no, there's no such thing as trafficking.
I know.
No. So Veronica, share with our viewers and our listeners a little bit about why, so first of all, let's actually look at your website, New Life. Hold on a second. I'm going to share my screen because this website is amazing.
Thank you.
So you've got this organization, New Light, New Life. And, you are about helping women recover from being trafficked. So what gave you this idea for this business, for this nonprofit? Like, where did the inspiration come from?
So I have been a national makeup artist for 27 years. I've traveled with celebrities. I've worked with everybody from red carpet events to you name it. I've done it all. And that's been for 27 years. But 12 years ago, I was at an event and a lady came up to me and said, I'd like to hire you to do makeup. Can I invite you for coffee? And I said, sure, no problem. So I go and I have coffee with this lady. And as we're having the conversation, she says, I have 10 women that need their hair and makeup done. Can you do it tomorrow? And I said, sure, no problem. I show up to the hotel to do the makeup, never knowing why she wanted me there.
Oh, interesting.
I start doing makeup on the lady and I'm having conversation with her. She's very casual about it. Everything's going great. And next thing you know, she says, you're going up to do the girls. I said, oh, you don't get ready with them? And she goes, I don't mingle with those girls. So I was like, all right, no problem. Still never thinking anything. They were just models that were going to attend a celebrity party. As I show up to do the hair and makeup, the girls really look scared. The lady had already prepared me that these women didn't speak English. She's like, they're all Middle Eastern. They're not going to speak English to you. So
Wow.
when she said that, I said, all right, well, I guess we just won't talk. She's like, there's not much to talk about. She goes, here's the look. You do it. You go home. I said, no problem. I start doing the makeup and 8 makeups into it. 2 of the girls look at me and they look like they wanted to say something, but they were just kind of hesitant. And one of them finally, with very broken English, says to me, I'm scared. And when she said that, I looked at her and I said, why are you scared? And I'm trying to, pull it out of her. And she's not really talking at that point. She glances down, then looks back up me. And then after a few minutes, she says to me, we don't know where we're going and if we're coming back. At that moment, I was like, okay, how many times have I done someone's makeup? And that woman was either sold. How many times have I done someone's makeup and she couldn't really come out and tell me what was going on? So at that point, I said, I have to do something about this. I immediately started texting a friend of mine who's with the police department. And I started telling her, hey, this is going on. This is where I'm at. 30 minutes later, they got there and they stopped it. And the biggest thing that was a big thing for me once I left there was, I want to be a part of this. How can I put an end to this? And, as many times as I've asked that question, they're like, it's difficult. It's going to be a task that's very difficult. It's the oldest profession since the beginning of time, right? And so they're like, for you to stop it, I don't know that you can stop it, but you certainly can make a difference with what you do. So I said, what can I do? So I started partnering up with some of the houses here in town, and I started doing hair and makeup for girls that were actually getting a job. And I said, I wanted to help them feel beautiful and feel empowered to be able to get that job, right? And, one thing leads to another. 12 years later, a year ago, I started the process of starting this nonprofit so that we could create an opportunity. And I come from the personal development world. And because of it, I said, if I learned how to survive on my own 7 years ago after a divorce, I was like, I can certainly teach them. I can certainly teach them how to get on their feet, how to become self-sufficient and, create a new life for themselves. And that's why I created New Light, New Life.
I knew I was going to get emotional during this segment. Like I just knew it, off the bat. That story you just told, Veronica, really hit me because that just made me go, how many times during a day or a week do I come across people? I literally, okay, who else listening has been like at the gas station or the airport or like a random place and there's a sign that's like you can stop trafficking and I
Sure.
always like a lot of times when I see it it's in a place that like I'm like, "Bro, why is that here? That's such a weird place for that to be."
But it's happening everywhere.
The
That's
thing
what I'm
is, it
saying.
happens in your backyard, your next door
Yep.
neighbor. You don't know. It happens with, you just don't know. You're like, but they seem like such a normal family. And it's happening with wherever you can't even imagine.
Are
So,
there signs that people are trained to look for, like when you're out in the world? Dr. Fineman, oh, I'm sorry, Lori.
Yes.
What are there signs that you can teach people to be on the lookout for people who are like in distress?
Sure. I mean, you can notice, especially with kids, you can notice when they're forlorn, they're brought into a gas station and they're kind of just looking down, following the person in front of them. They look afraid. They're not making eye contact. There's actually a universal sign, and you're going to ask me what it is, and I don't know it off the top of my hand. And maybe Veronica, you know it, but there is a sign with your hand to let people know that you are in danger and that you're not okay and to help rescue you. But if you go to the airports in Miami or you go to the, I was just recently in the airport and I went to the bathroom, and when you close the door, there are the signs. I mean,
Yeah.
it is literally happening everywhere. And I was going to ask Veronica prior to seeing these women and working with them, how aware were you of human trafficking?
Good question.
I wasn't. It was not something I knew of. I mean, you've always heard that kids would go missing and things like that, but I was not aware of what to look for. And, it just was that gut intuition when you walk in and you see the behavior of the girls.
Yeah.
And one of the things that did stand out to me is I went to go separate her hair because we were curling their hair, right? As I'm going to separate her hair, the girl looks at me and she goes like this. And I said, it's okay. But again, I'm communicating with women that don't know who I am.
Yeah.
I'm showing up
A lot
to
of
a
fear.
Well, and they don't know if you're part of it, right? Like
exactly.
how do they know that you're not one of the traffickers or something like that? So oh wow, that's wild.
And it's amazing because, over the past probably about 12 years, it's become way more spoken about and way more known about, at least in the bigger cities like Miami. Like you hear about it all the time. And it's an area that I focused on I do a news aggregator, and it's one of the, 11 headings or 9 headings, I don't even know what it is, but that I focus on, and to see over the years the increase in how many articles there are on human trafficking and how now it's going out of the big cities and they're having busts everywhere. And, they're having cops come and find, 100 women at one time, specifically or particularly around big football games, betting things, things out in Vegas. The Super Bowl is one of the biggest days of human trafficking that there is.
That's crazy,
just last year, we had Formula One here. They rescued over 300 children.
Yep. That's what they say.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you guys. So this is the hand signal for SOS. Oh, are you guys hearing that echo or is it just me?
Yes. I am hearing it.
Oh, hold on.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
And then
I apologize.
Okay.
There's the hand gesture.
Yes. I knew what I was talking about.
SOS.
So Veronica, I was looking over your website, and I think what you are doing is so amazing. And I was blown away when I heard that story, which is how this whole discussion even started. But to take what your skill set is and to be able to incorporate that and really come from a very holistic place for these girls, can you share with the listeners a little bit about what the components of the nonprofit are, and how these girls have been reacting to it, or these women, I should say, they're not all girls, but how they've been reacting to this program?
I'm getting a lot of great feedback from the community because it is a program that is going to encompass everything that's needed, from life skills to a physical transformation to a mindset program. We have a program right now where we're actually working on reprogramming that part of the brain that makes them continue to go back. 80% of women that come out of human trafficking go right back to their traffickers.
What?
Because
Yeah.
of that lack of love, lack of loving themselves. So our
Yep.
program consists of many components. It's a program that's really going to help them encompass everything from self-love, just everything that they didn't have,
So
growing up, which is
hold on. I'm sorry. I cannot, we can't just pass over that. Did you say 80% go back?
80% of women that come out of human trafficking, whether it's human trafficking or domestic violence, they go
Yeah.
back to their abusers because that is what they're comfortable with. That is what they know. So when you
Exactly.
don't know anything better, you're like, well, he loves me. This is what I know.
Oh,
So you
wow.
keep going back to that person because you don't know any better,
Mhm.
right? And so a lot of the times, a lot of these women, they'll get pregnant, and they'll get pregnant by their trafficker, and traffickers have rights. So they're like, well, he's the father of my child. I have to go back to him.
Mm-hmm.
So
What?
that's a whole other ball game.
Yeah.
Oh
Very
my
unfortunate.
God. Okay, so this is then it almost sounds like, the similar problem, right? Like you give a man a fish, feed him for a day, feed a man, or, teach him to fish, feed him forever. So it's like you can't just take them out. You can't just take victims out of the situation. You're saying it has to be a full on rehabilitation program. They need to
Yeah.
now learn ways to make money that isn't related to, bad stuff. They need to learn how to take care of themselves. And what does that look like to be in a normal relationship?
Yeah, exactly. What does it look like to be able to say, wow, so I make all this money, but it's not my money. It's for him. How much of it do I get to keep? I really don't get to keep much of it because I have to give it to him. If I'm sick, can I stay home? Well, no, because he needs me to go to work.
Oh, wow.
So those are things that, you have to teach them. Like, does he really love you? But does he? Because if he did, would he make you go to work even if you're sick?
Wow.
And
Wow.
for
You
many
guys.
of them, this is what they think love really is. Like you said, this is all they know. They've never had these experiences before, and so somebody giving them something, somebody showing them attention, somebody buying them a beautiful necklace, in order to keep them, or somebody even providing them housing, whether it's nice housing or not nice housing. All of that goes a very long way, and they equate that with love. And so
and going back to that story, what you just said, sorry to interrupt you. A lot of these traffickers use their credit to get the homes. That's how they homes transfer. So they'll get a home, they won't pay for it, and they ruin their credit.
And
so
now
we are offering credit repair. Why? Because when they come out, they need to be able to buy a home, they need to be able to buy a car to get to work. So we're actually offering that. On top of that, we're giving them, once they've completed our program and successfully gone through everything, we will expunge their record. So no one will ever know that these ladies had a problem in their past. They're getting a fresh start from start to end, and we're giving them all the tools that they need for them to become self-sufficient.
Well, speaking of fresh start, we're going to have a fresh start after this break when we hear from our sponsor, ASIC. Defenders of American Freedom. So stay with us. You are hearing from Veronica Robles of New Life. I keep saying it backwards. New Light, New Life, New Light, newlife.org. You guys go check out the website and stay with us. We're going to be right back.
America came into being based on a shared belief and a common set of values. Unlike other nations that were bound together based on common ancestry, race, or caste, we came into being based on a simple and shared set of ideals. That the power of government is based on the consent of the governed. That life, the freedom to live life on our own terms in our own way, free from government interference, and liberty, our most precious value, and the pursuit of happiness, which means we are free to pursue that which we choose, with the knowledge and courage to know that nothing is guaranteed to us in this life. Those values, America was founded on these basic inalienable rights: freedom to pray to God in our own way, freedom to think and speak freely without fear of punishment or harm, and freedom to gather in our places of worship and in our local taverns, and freedom to defend ourselves, our families, our homes, and our neighbors as we see fit. The American Center for Education and Knowledge is dedicated to protecting American exceptionalism anywhere and everywhere it is threatened. ASIC is a 501c3 and depends on your tax-deductible donations. Please help us continue our fight.
And we will continue the fight, just like Veronica Robles is going to continue the fight for trafficking victims. You guys, if you are still watching, make sure to leave a like on this video, comment. If you want to throw something in the comments, you have a question for Veronica, she can answer it. Now, you are located in Las Vegas. Is that correct?
I am.
Okay.
I'm in Las Vegas.
And so this is now I'm assuming, is there a goal to make this a nationwide program, or are you staying local for now?
The goal is right now to open up a facility here in Las Vegas and really start making the difference and start creating impact. But the goal is to eventually launch this across the United States, open one up in every city, and create an impact in the cities that really need it the most to begin with, and then spread ourselves out. But for the most part, it's starting in Las Vegas.
Because I'm thinking, I feel like this is a model that can be repeated, because okay, like we're gonna have girl talk now. Okay, listeners, it's girl talk time. We know, and this is actually relates to the fellows too, but we know when we look better on the outside, the reality is we feel better. There have been times in my life, I've dealt with health issues and weight gain and loss, and it's been really hard. And there are times if I'm feeling sick or depressed, like I will look it. But if I can pick myself up and I can start to put myself back together again, and I can get some nice clothes that fit me well, and I can start to put the outside together, that actually helps the inside a little bit. It's a start.
It does.
Helps a lot.
It does. Well, and the biggest thing is if you don't have your mind right, everything doesn't work, right? Anything you want to do, you want to work out, you want to eat healthy, you have to be in the right mindset. So in order for you to start anything, you have to be in the right mindset. So we work on mindset. Your physical transformation is part of that mindset because it starts prepping you, right?
Yeah.
Then we give them a wardrobe where we style them to their body type so that they feel comfortable and create a whole new look for them. And then finish it off with the credit repair and all the great things, the life skills that they need. There's really no failing for them.
Okay, so my psychology ladies. Okay, so Dr. Lori. Okay.
Yes.
So when I tell people this story. Around the time that I got sober, I cut all my hair off.
Okay.
I had super long hair, and long story short, I was like, screw it. And I got a super short angled bob. And there was something in that.
Freeing.
What is that? What is that like psychological thing that whenever we are going through something, we like want to cut our hair off or dye it or do whatever? Like what is that?
I think I think hair is a very personal part of us, particularly you think about cancer patients, right? And the hardest part for a lot of cancer patients is when they have to ultimately shave the hair off of them. It's something that adds a lot of uniqueness to us. It's a form of safety, and it kind of just is. We've had it since the day we were, not the day we were born, but soon after.
Pretty
and
much.
It's part of our identity. And so, when you're going through substance abuse or something, or you're dealing with so much stress in your life, you can get weighed down metaphorically and physically just by the amount of hair that you have on your head. So I think that there's a liberating feeling when we cut our hair off or we color it. We can change our entire identity from the outside in. And that's what the beautiful thing about what you're doing, Veronica, is, a lot of we have programs down here like Dress for Success, and you give the clothes
Yep.
to individuals and you help them get jobs or help them go on interviews. But that's just such a small piece of what people are struggling with, right? And when I was looking at that at your website, which is so well done, it is so holistic. It's both inside and out. And I'm a big believer that, you can start from the outside and you can like fake it till you make it, so to speak. But if you don't really get to the core of the self-worth and how people see themselves and their value in relationships and in this world, there's always going to be this imposter syndrome, this I'm not good enough, or I can't do it, I'm not like everybody else, or I'm not capable of doing it. Even if they know the skills, it's because they don't have the belief in themselves. And so I use the analogy of a hollow chocolate Easter bunny. And I mean, they look beautiful on Easter. At least a Jewish kid like me always thought they looked amazing at Easter when I went to CVS, and I always begged my parents for one. And the one time that they said, sure, I got home and I took a bite of it and the whole thing cracked. I was like, this is such a farce. What is this? I wanted this thing. It was so beautiful. And the whole thing fell to crap. So
we have to. They tipped me.
Yeah, that's kind of how I felt, right? So I use that analogy in therapy because what we try to do is we try to create solid chocolate Easter bunnies, right? So that the inside matches the outside, so that when something does happen or we hit against a no, you didn't get this job, or a rejection in a relationship, we don't crumble and fall apart. So if you just were to do the outside and give them a beautiful blue bow and a big blue eye like the bunny had, the whole thing doesn't support itself, because that's why they go back. Right?
Correct.
It's because it's not solid, and we have to work through that. So I so appreciate that you guys are paying attention to the mental health component of it, and the self-worth and the self-esteem is so important. And if not, as important, it's equally as important as the physical. And the physical one, though, I joke all the time, and I might have actually said this to you, Veronica, when you were doing my hair and makeup, which was, our jobs are very similar, right? You, a hairstylist or a makeup artist and a psychologist, our jobs are pretty similar. Everybody tells us their problems. We kind of sit there, we're sounding boards, we help them through it. But you have the better job. And the reason you have the better job is because they always look good when they walk out. They always feel good when they walk out. When they walk out of my office, not so much. It takes a long time. So the idea of starting from the outside first, right? It's the easier way to start. And as they start to see that potential, they can open themselves up to being more vulnerable and more willing to be self-aware and learn the acts of resilience and how to incorporate that into their life. So it is such a beautiful thing that you are doing. And I can see it multiplying and multiplying and multiplying in different states, because it's a necessity at this point.
Well, and the thing is that a lot of the abuse happens through their hair. So believe it or not, I've had situations and I encountered women that the abuse would happen. I had a woman that had hair down to her waist, very bum, and he would literally take her hair and lock her in the room through her hair. So there's so much that has happened to these women that it's just a new identity. It's not what's good. It's like somebody said to me, so they wash their hair and their makeup off. What then? And I said, no, that is just one component. It's just one piece to help change the identity, to start creating a new identity. And along with the mindset program, it's creating a new story for them, right?
Oh my gosh, you guys, hold on a second. Some of these things we've been talking about are all coming together. So we talk all the time about the Purpose Project, how all human beings need three things: identity, belonging, and purpose. And so if you holy moly, so if you're a trafficking victim and your belonging, your purpose, your identity are all wrapped up in your victimization, no wonder they go back. Oh my God, you guys, like that, it makes sense now. I didn't get it before. It makes sense now.
Yeah. And that's why we have such a hard time when we work, as Veronica said, with domestic violence, right? It's identifying with the aggressor. It's going back. It's the, they know they need them in a way, or they believe they need them in order to survive and to have safety, because they don't have the other components in place. And that's what, Veronica, you're doing so beautifully, is helping them feel that, feel empowered. I mean, I think that's really the big word here, is to feel empowered, that they are more than this, that they can create a new life for themselves. And you're teaching them, you are literally giving them the skills to be able to do it. It's remarkable.
Well, and we also have a program that's included into it, where we're actually creating like a mentorship program, where some of the girls that have actually graduated, that have actually started, they're actually like big sisters, right? Almost like when you were a kid and you had a pen pal. This is a group of women that will mentor them to continue. So if you're having a rough day, you have someone you can talk to. You will always have a mentor that will listen to you, that'll say, hey, what's happening today? Why don't you want to attend class? What's going on?
And that it's such a component of the AA model that is so successful, right? And modeling it off of that, which we know has been such a successful program around the world. Knowing that you have somebody, and that's really what it is. It's belonging, it's having connection, it's knowing that there's not something wrong with them, right? And that's really so important for these individuals to understand, because they think they're doing something wrong. They think there's a flaw in them because of the way that they've been treated, and that's not at all what it is. And I just, to our listeners, I mean, listening to all the components of it, right? I was going through this and I'm like, oh, I don't even have to be trafficked. I need these things. I mean, and that's the truth. I mean, these are the fundamental, we talk about this, and I know you guys talk about this on your podcast all the time. Like, our education system should be teaching this stuff to people who aren't even being trafficked. The gift that you are giving these women to learn how to balance checkbooks and deal with budgeting, and learning how to interview and put together a resume. I mean, these are life skills.
I'm dealing with college graduates who can't deal with that crap. Are you kidding me?
That's my point.
Give me a break.
My point.
Yeah.
That's my point.
Live my life. Try interviewing and hiring. Golly. My goodness. You guys, so let me ask you this, Veronica. What do you need? Like, where are you at, right? Where are you at in the process? What do you need? How can people help you? How can they support? Obviously, we've been showing off your sexy website. Wait, that is a terrible word to use in this, but I use it as a descriptor all the time. It's an excellent website, newlife.org. So what do you need? Where can people go? Tell them what to do.
So right now, what we're needing is we're raising funds so we can get a facility going. We can get a place to do the work.
Got it.
That's the biggest thing. We really need a space to create this. And we've been doing a lot of the work on our own without it, but we need a space for licensing purposes. You have to have a space. Sure. And right now it's just funds. We're raising funds, and we're getting donations for clothing, gently used clothing for these ladies, to start having new outfits, and just funding is the biggest thing.
All right.
And excellent. How can somebody, send money to you? How can people get involved? How can they follow the progress that you're making and the successes that you're having?
You can definitely follow us. Our website is www.newlife.org. You can also follow us on social media at newlife.org. I'm sorry, New Life for Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. We have all the platforms. And you can definitely donate through the website. We have that option as well.
Yep. We
are showing it for the volunteers as well at this point.
That was going to be my next question. Is it run by volunteers solely?
Yeah, we will need volunteers. There's just so much that we just don't have the manpower. So we'll definitely need volunteers as well.
Well, and I know you and I had talked about, I had said I would be willing to help with the accounting and budgeting piece. Let me know when you are ready to do that. That is what we are building here in my accounting practice, is an internship program for women for who want to be stay-at-home moms or homeschool, to learn a home-based business where they can work from home and still take care of their family and earn an income. And so, if that's something that we can eventually help with you or help with, build your curriculum, we're really happy to do that. So you guys, you need to go to newlife.org/donate. Make sure to donate. And again, the website is great. It's got tons of information. Our viewers were just having a look at it. There's all the contact information is on there, y'all. If you are interested in learning more, definitely go and reach out, and make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel that you're watching, and leave us a 5-star review if you're listening on podcasts. All right. Anything else? Veronica, before you go, what haven't we asked you that we should have? What do you want to make sure to share with our viewers and listeners?
Jeez, I don't know. We've talked about everything.
Well,
I want to also just know, totally aside and selfishly, first of all, because that's me, right? But I have two things. I'm going to be selfish and then selfless, I guess. The first selfish thing is, I want to take the makeup course. How does one do that?
Ooh,
You just have a makeup course?
Oh my
maybe we just need
God.
a tutorial. We can have a tutorial on the podcast of you teaching us all the makeup skills, because I was blown away about that.
I've been practicing my contouring.
Oh, look at you. That's very impressive.
Oh yeah, that's what I was doing. That's why I was late for getting on the sound check, because I was contouring.
But
that's the point. You can't see it.
It's funny you say that, because that is part of our program. We're teaching them how to apply their makeup. And
I know.
Everyone tells me, you could actually do a fundraiser and teach a makeup class. I'm like,
absolutely.
I'm ready for it.
Bro,
absolutely.
I'm in. I'm just telling you right now, I'm in. Send me the link. I will pay. I watch.
And you could do it virtual, and it
I
could
watch
be so big.
I watch makeup tutorials on YouTube all the time. I would happily pay someone for a good tutorial that goes towards a good cause. That is $1 million idea.
Wouldn't
right
that
there.
be amazing? It really
So
would.
So that was my other piece. Like, Ericka told me before we even got on the podcast that I had $1 million idea. I have ideas all the time, but so I'm happy to help you in any way, shape, or form, but also clinically. I have my SIPAC license, which means that I can do therapy on telehealth in 20 something states. I don't even know which ones they are. I would have to look. But what that means is I might be able to get in touch with therapists in different states and be able to put together a list of therapists who might be able to help provide low fee services, or might want to volunteer for the organization. So whatever awesome. I can do to help, please know I'm being very sincere about it. I believe in your cause. I believe in you. You are a beautiful, beautiful woman inside and out. And the fact that you are so willing to help these individuals who are struggling and literally giving them the tools to turn their entire life around and find value and worth in themselves is a gift. I mean, it is a beautiful, beautiful gift, and you should be rewarded in multitudes. So however I can help and whomever I can brainstorm with and bring towards you, please always reach out and let me know.
You're amazing. Thank you for that.
Oh, I love it. I love it, you guys.
It takes a village.
It does take a village.
I love it. All right, you guys.
I haven't done it alone. It's all the people that I.
Oh. Hey.
There it is.
I feel like I keep saying it's like this puzzle was created. It was thrown on a table, and here I'm having to build this puzzle. And it's been all the community that's come together. That's like, I will help. I will help. And that's like the most beautiful thing, because it's selfless, right?
Yeah, it's selfless. And I want to give a shout out to some of our listeners on Instagram, Ballistic Blade Boy and Rutland CGOP and Ali Fulch. Thank you guys for listening. And hopefully you guys will go to the website and check out this amazing organization that is run by this beautiful woman. And Veronica, you literally light up a room, and you are lighting up their lives. So thank you for everything that you shared with us.
Thank you for having me.
All
Thank you
right.
so
We'll
much.
talk to you again soon, Veronica. She is so awesome. She is just so
Amazing.
cool.
Don't you feel so inadequate when you hear these amazing stories about what people are doing to change the lives of other people? And all we're doing is like on a podcast right now.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Says the psychologist who like fixed me in like one conversation at Israel Appreciation Day. There was a couple things that you just like, you called out so hard and I was like, but
You
it's
don't
true.
like me.
No, it's good. No, I love that. You don't understand,
Aw.
Lori. I like therapists that are like drill sergeants. I like people who are like, why are you crying? That doesn't help. Now, Benjamin can't say that. Lord Redic can't say that. He has to be like, I'm so sorry, honey. And everything that
Yes.
you're saying makes perfectly good sense, even if it's totally irrational, right? Like that's his job. Now, however, my therapist can tell me that I'm being a nut and get away with it.
Look, we have to read our audience, right? Some people you can't be that way, and other people you can. So I don't want you to ruin my entire reputation so that everybody listening to this is sitting here going, gosh, this woman has no empathy. And if I cried, I wouldn't get any emotional support from her. I read my audience. I know with Ericka, I can do it this way, but with my other patients, I may not be able to.
That is correct. She knows.
Yeah.
I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, if I needed a therapist, I would absolutely hire Dr. Lori Fineman.
Well, and if I was unethical, I would take you as a patient. But since I'm ethical, you can't be my patient, Ericka. So again, you're testing me here and blowing my entire professional identity. Thank you very much.
Well, speaking of blowing identities, that was not a good transition.
Segue.
It was not a good segue. I had a better one and then I lost it because I started laughing. So let's hang on and hear from our sponsor, ASIC.
Socialism. The goal of socialism is communism. The world is quite familiar with socialism and the horrors socialism has brought with it. It wasn't that long ago. Actually, it's still with us. Socialism creeps into government slowly until it's too late. Socialism, the big lie. Yes, it could happen anywhere. This educational video was brought to you by the American Center for Education and Knowledge and paid for by people like you who care about the future of our democracy. Please help us continue our work educating the American public and consider supporting ASIC by making a tax-deductible donation at asicfund.org.
All right, Miss Lori.
I got to tell you, even that advertisement, right, and the education of the socialism, right, that takes us right back to what we started this whole episode with, right?
Yep.
It's like people don't understand. They don't want to connect the dots. I mean, even human trafficking, people don't want to open their eyes to the fact that this is happening. It's like we are living in this space, in this world where we are this close to tipping over the edge, and people just think that it's never going to happen.
Okay, yeah. So we got to cover some of the stuff that happened yesterday on the anniversary of October 7th, sure. Right? Okay, so you're talking about living in the upside down world. There is a group and this gal helping lead and organize these protests. And it is absolute nonsense. I you know what? I can't even describe it. Hang on. I got to play this for you. Let me make sure you can hear it. Okay. I'm going to present my screen. Ben, did you say it's better if I do the tab instead? Did we ever figure that out? No. Lame. Okay. Okay, so you can see my screen here, right? Check this out, guys.
Yeah.
Samadun, which means steadfast in Arabic, is banned in Germany and Israel for its vocal support of designated terror groups.
Most of what we do is kind of the activism that you see people do every day in their communities. So that's organizing demonstrations. That's organizing political education events and seminars.
Kate spoke to us remotely from Vancouver, where she was arrested on hate speech charges for defending Hamas's actions on October 7th at a rally.
Long live October 7th!
Samadun has co-sponsored several protests.
I mean, like these are the people organizing all the protests we see going on all over.
I mean, Ericka, this is what you do every day?
Right? Like, oh yeah, you know,
organized protests.
Oh, you know, no big deal. Go out there and say long live terror organizations. You know, that's totally what I do every day.
Yeah, she's like, hey, you know what activists do? Like, this is what we do. No, this is not what you do. This is not what you're supposed to be doing. And you're like, it's like, are you kidding me? Do you even know what you're protesting? Because 98% of them don't have any clue.
This person, I don't know if that's a they, them, or a she. I'm not exactly clear. But that person actually said that Hamas isn't a terror group. They're just the, you know, people on the front lines for the Palestinians fighting against the, you know, big bad evil Israelis. And I thought, I'm like, is this, I can't, like, where do you get your information from?
But you make it sound, and Ericka, I love you, but you're making it sound like she's the only person, right, who thinks that. I mean, half of our country is starting to, I mean, do you see the size of these protests? Do you see these college universities? Do you see what is happening? That there was literally yesterday, on the day of mourning in Israel, right, for the people that were killed. And by the way, the hostages and the people that were killed on October 7th were not all Jewish. Okay,
that's
so
right.
Let's start there.
That's right.
Okay, but there was actually, I think it was at Chicago Kent University or something, at the law school there was actually a huge celebration of the a commemoration of the martyrs from October 7th. Okay. And this is at our, like, I'm not going to say elite institutions, but this was at our academic institutions of law school. Okay. A law school.
Oh my God, ladies and gentlemen, your tax dollars going to support that. Right.
Okay. Hello, martyrs. You killed, you raped, pillaged, burned children in an area that you infiltrated. You gunned down innocent people at a concert, and we're celebrating and commemorating the people who did it and not the victims of it and the hostages. I'm like, in what lifetime?
That's wild.
In what lifetime does this exist? And this is where people are not understanding, and they're brainwashed into believing that this is normal, and it is not.
And now this is all keeping in perspective, Lori, that you've been to Israel. So you have actually been there since
the war,
before and since.
Before and after.
So you know, when they didn't attack a soldier's air base or something, right? They didn't attack soldiers. They attacked.
Well, they infiltrated that, but no, that's not where not where it started.
Yeah, isn't it like a kibbutzim? If I said it correctly, isn't that like people like intentionally who are like pacifists or whatever?
Yeah, they're peace-loving, living on the ground individuals. Many of whom who came to Israel after they survived the Holocaust to build an entire state for Jewish people, and not just Jewish people, but for Jewish people, because there was no other place for them to go during the Holocaust, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of those people, and by the way, the people, many of the Hamas infiltrators, okay, they worked on the kibbutzim. Okay, they
it was like an inside job, right? They
would come over. Yeah, they would come over from Gaza on a work visa. They would come in. They would help out. They befriended these people. They mapped out what the inside of the kibbutz was and where they kept everything, and they took it back to Hamas.
But Israel is wrong for not wanting these people to be integrated into their country and being able to, like, we can't get along, bro. You can't act right. We can't have nice things. We can't have nice things.
How can you, with people who have been indoctrinated to believe that there is no value in the life of Jews, in the land of Israel? They do not believe. And by the way, they are celebrated for taking a life of a Jew.
Wow.
Okay. They are celebrated. Their families are given money. They are given homes. They are taken care of. If you die as a martyr and have killed a Jew or anybody else, you are celebrated. I mean, how do you work with that mentality?
I don't think you can. You can't have a two-state solution. You can't have like, hey, okay, so I know you wanted to, okay, so I know you came here to murder me. Okay, I know that's what you wanted to do, but can't we just live in the same house together? Can't we though? Like, you can just stay over there and I'll stay over here. We can like share the kitchen, but can you just quit the murder stuff? No, I can't. Well, I mean, how do you
Well, right. And how do you with people who have been indoctrinated to hate, right? And to think that
Correct.
the world and Western values are not valuable.
Actually, hold on a second,
Yes.
Dr.
Ooh,
Lori.
sounds so professional. Thank you.
How do you, like, real talk? This is actually a serious question. Like, as a psychologist, how do you, for lack of a better word, like undoctrinate? I don't know. Undoctrinate somebody?
We could make
whatever the right word is there.
Educate. How do we educate people?
We got to send them to
reality?
re-education camp. Like seriously, can you fix that?
I mean, look, it's not something that's going to happen overnight. We have to get these powers out of being. We have to start, start with these kids at a very young age, and it's going to take generations. I mean, look at how slowly indoctrination hit in our country, and it went through the education system over time, right? And it infiltrated our entire country through, whether it's through education, media, through corporate. And it takes time. It takes about 30 years. But look, I believe we can eventually, but it's going to be a very slow process. And we can't if we can't even all identify who the killers and the bad people actually are, right? If we can't do that, it makes it really hard to. If we can't agree,
but that's the problem. That's what happens when you lose moral equivalation. I can't even use words anymore. Okay.
We can make them up.
Okay. If there's no longer if everything is relative, if it, moral relativity, right? There's no truth, then I guess what is the matter with being a terrorist or whatever? It's my truth. And so therefore, how dare you say that I can't go murder people?
But don't you see that that's how it all started, right? Think about it from a parenting perspective. It's all about these young kids. And I see it in my practice all the time, all about that. I can do whatever I want. Us parents, we don't push back on our children anymore. We just want them to be comfortable. This is what they want, right? And then the schools are like, oh, we're educating you about this. And you can't say this because that's not sensitive. And you might offend somebody, right? And oh, that's an oppressed class. So therefore we can't speak that way. And we have safe spaces for those people. And oh, you don't like people calling you by the wrong pronoun? Okay, let's change your pronoun. Oh, and you don't like the 6 or 7 choices or the 2 choices of gender that used to be, and then you had 7 and you couldn't choose from those 7. Oh, let's bring on 52 or 78.
Dude,
right?
I had to fill out a stupid form the other day and it asked for my pronouns. And I was so irritated. I put choose not to answer. And it made me a they, them.
Oh, that made you that? Oh, no.
I was like, bro, come on. Nope. Okay, so Lord Redic sent over a video of the Kent State protest. Let's see if. Oh, it's not that? What is it? Oh, I already have a good New York one. No, mine's better. No, I don't know yours might be better. Hold on.
Are we going to have a pissing competition?
Yes. You can't see it, but we're peeing right now over here. Okay, hang on. Can you hear it?
Up Manhattan, it'll eventually end here at Columbus Circle, but simmering hot anger got added to the mix from the start when counter demonstrators showed up at Wall Street, and it's been boiling hot, scorching hot all the way through Midtown.
Excuse me, do your job. They're touching me. Your turn will come, honey. Don't worry.
From the moment the protest kicked off on Wall Street, there was confrontation and a steady drumbeat of piping hot hostility.
Here's what's so funny. Like, y'all are the ones coming out asking for a problem, right? Oh, yeah. They're the people who are out remembering the violence that was done to their people. They're out here chilling. Y'all are the ones coming out here making a problem.
Well, and that's the whole thing. When was the last time you saw a group of pro-Israel demonstrators initiating any violence? It doesn't happen, right? I mean, it's not happening. And it was interesting because I saw very quickly today something about how somebody was advocating for the fact that the Democratic Jews they're doing something wrong because they're sending the message that only the right conservative Jews and right-wing extremists could potentially support Israel. And we need to support Israel and support the Jews, but the left has to do a better job of doing it so it doesn't look like it's only being supported by the right-wing zealots. They didn't use the word zealots. I'm using the word zealots because that's how the left looks at the right. They look at them and they're like, oh, they're wackadoodles. Oh,
all you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. You right? and your sky god.
Oh, and like the little hats that you guys always talk about, your tinfoil hats, right? Like, and no, it's just the reality is that if you really start to connect some dots here, there you go. There's a tinfoil hat there. If you start to connect the dots, you start to see how we got here. Right? We went so far left to get here that we have to kind of counteract. And I say to my patients all the time, no extreme is good. And I truly believe that. No extreme is good. But we have to swing the pendulum somewhere in the middle here and figure out that these are human lives. These are individuals. And guess what? It's starting with the Jews. But it's not ending with the Jews. And that's where people think, oh, yeah, let's rally. We don't even know what we're rallying about. Let's protest. And then guess what? They're going to be knocking on your door tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So wake up, people. Wake up.
It's not ending with the Jews, but what is ending is this episode of the People. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you have been watching this long, we want to say thank you. Thank you, Dr. Lori Fineman, for joining us on the show this evening. We just appreciate you. You just are such a breath of fresh air. Thank you to Veronica Robles for coming on. New light, new life. Go help. Go do something. And if not that, do something in your own town. Learn SOS. Teach some people something. Do something, y'all. Get out there.
Open your eyes. That's
and do something. And vote Republican. Amen.